Hey everybody, welcome to Holland Marauders live on a Thursday night here on the East Coast. But that was probably our best intro yet, I think.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's the first time I've seen that. That was awesome.
How's everyone doing? We've got Jack back, obviously, for Holland Live.
The crew. Excited to be back.
Happy to be here.
We're back. And we're going to be back for a while because it's 12 episodes of this show.
Yeah, instead of 12 weeks, though, it's going to be 10 weeks?
We're already a quarter through.
It'll be 9 weeks, right?
Because 9 more weeks,
episodes.
Right? Yeah. Hello, everyone in the chat. I have to mention first that we're gonna see how this goes, I guess, but we're gonna have these Holonet Live episodes be podcast episodes. Obviously, once it's done, download the audio, make it a podcast episode. So instead of we're still gonna be a mess, obviously, but we're gonna try to be a more structured mess.
That's not possible.
A mess you could listen to.
Yeah,
a mess you can listen to.
Yeah.
That's us. So we can't have things that are like, let's see here. We can't just have random stuff like
Dogworm for sale.
We totally can.
If you're listening at home and you hear those things, don't
out.
Worry. That's usual. Jack pointed out the other day, it's like a radio sound effects, like squeaking a horn and all those things they used to do.
Weenie in the butt.
Oh my god.
You don't remember that? Yeah, okay, good.
I remember it, yeah.
I didn't just randomly say that for no reason.
So is this going to be an audio release? I don't know.
Oh,
We're off to a great start.
I thought they said the dungworms are scared.
Are sacred.
I'm sure they're scared. They're about to be eaten.
The sacred Jedi dungworms.
What do you do with dungworms?
Yes.
Hey, you eat them?
Their appearance in what was it, Book of Boba Fett or Mando? That was a big deal.
Manure?
But let's
Guys,
talk about
this for at least 20 minutes.
Manure.
No, what do you do with a dungworm?
Manure.
Oh boy.
What's the matter with that? It's newer with a ma in front of it.
I don't know
why. Get some newer stuff.
Marissa Tomei.
Oh God. Anyway,
I love how everyone seems to call it Andor. Like I was somewhere the other day and someone was like, I gotta go watch Andor. And I was like, well, I didn't know people in public say that, but yeah.
It's Andor, not Andor.
Andor. I hope we have that clip. Do we have that clip?
Yeah, you
Cassian Andor.
If it weren't for Stellan Skarsgård's wonderful chalk in a grinder voice, I would be so mad about hearing that.
Chalk in a grinder.
Chalk in a grinder.
He threw his throat in a grinder and then popped it back in and was like, I'm ready, guys.
He was born to play a pirate. I'm so glad he was in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Who do you play in Pirates?
He was Bootstrap Bill Turner.
He played
I had no idea that was
Jack Sparrow.
In Pirates of the Caribbean. He was a former MIT professor, right?
Yeah.
That's how that, yeah.
Yep. And of course, we got to see him naked in Thor 2. Also very good.
Right,
very
never
good.
forget.
Right.
And then in this, he sounds like he ate a grinded chalk.
Cassian Andor.
I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're not.
It was perfect.
Too good. It's perfect.
Very specific, just like how I thought you threw a bowl of soup across the room. But it was your prior pistol.
That was important.
Because there's no splash involved. No, sorry, that's an earlier conversation. So the title scene of Andor had very alien vibes to it, like the way
Really?
it
you mean like the actual title sequence?
Yeah, the way the sequence reveals
right.
itself. It's very similar to the way when Alien starts. It's literally just like it
Yeah.
slowly reveals the letters of the word. And I really liked how it started out as like a planet and then slowly molded into the full symbol.
I was hoping they were going to do a different planet for every episode or like something along those lines, but I'm fine with the opening. I still really like it.
It even gives that eclipse look, very Rogue One.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like just the way that the logo like faded into it immediately. I thought that was really cool.
And speaking of Ridley Scott movies, hardcore Blade Runner vibes, just from the soundtrack alone. But
the opening scene,
whole opening scene was
noodles.
Not just Blade Runner,
Okay, we didn't get to
but also with
in.
The Expanse.
Yeah.
Lots of like this show is very like everyone's saying it's grown up, and I completely agree. Like it's very much the same way Rogue One promised you a darker, grittier Star Wars without it being too forced. Like, I mean, for Cassian, it starts the same way it started for him in Rogue One. You know, ends up killing someone he probably didn't need
Exactly.
to or want to, and
regretfully
just to
killing
save
someone
his
in an
skin.
alley.
In a
It's
dark
like,
Yeah.
alley.
here I
Yeah.
go again.
and very much like still shows like how like for all that he probably will change over the course of this, because he still very much seems like he does in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Hell, he might even be worse off in Rogue One. Just the way he reacts to a lot of the situations they deal with in the movie.
I hope
That
he regretfully kills someone in an alley every arc for the rest of the show. Every
Starts
3
to-
episodes.
Season
he's
2,
like, here
first
I go
scene.
again. They walk into an alley. He turns to the guy. He's like, sorry, buddy, but this is
This is the
what's
first
gonna
time
have to happen."
Disney's acknowledged brothels in Star Wars. They've been
first time they acknowledged
tiptoeing around
few
that
things,
for a
yeah.
while.
I know.
Yeah.
You can put a
Yeah.
bunch of
Sex
slaves in
scenes.
bikinis around Jabba the Hutt, but as long as you don't call it, what it is,
Well,
then you're fine.
it's right up there with like the strippers in Iron Man 1. Like they can't just cut those scenes because they're important to the story and what the characters are doing while
Yeah,
that's
the
happening.
strippers are
And I
very
know
important.
Disney, if they had made that movie, wouldn't have included those.
Absolutely.
But like, good on them for like finally growing up a bit with Star Wars here and like just like letting it be a universe filled with dark things and subjects that are maybe not appropriate for kids, and that's okay sometimes for Star Wars, even though it's mainly a kids show or a kids series, as George always defined it.
Yeah.
I loved everything with the corporate worlds that they're on initially, because like it's funny that there's been criticism that it's like not Star Warsy. I think it is remarkably Star Warsy.
What are you
Like this is
talking
like
about?
Heavy Zerka vibes.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
but, like,
Corporations
Love Zerka.
controlling entire solar systems. It's like Star Wars to a T.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that like each like individual world that we've seen like as well is just it's so Star Wars. Like we have like these like very different like versions of like the towns and like the cities, but like it still looks and feels that way. And so even though we're like literally walking through what is the equivalent of like a red light district, but it's like really really like dark, and it's like this is something we've never seen at this level before in Star Wars,
Yeah,
but
no
like
way.
it's fascinating to actually like see it.
I'd never seen it in general. Having a bunch of people in little
I-
bubbles.
Yeah,
That
that
Like
was
making
That was so cyberpunk.
Oh.
Like I was like
Oh,
over
yeah.
the moon. Like, I was
Cyberpunk,
like, this
Blade
is
Runner esque,
so cool.
like very. I mean, that was just like incredibly. I mean, Star Wars is just such a versatile IP. Like this show cements that for me. Like I've been on multiple kicks on multiple different franchises, and they all have like one note to them, but Star Wars has like 10. Like you could
Yeah.
really. There's just so much you can do with Star Wars. Like watching these 3 episodes, you completely forget like the Jedi are a thing, and
Yeah.
it's like, Luke and all that jazz is going to happen, and that's so mythical and mystical and has nothing to do with Andor. Andor is just completely removed from all of that.
Jamie and I watched Andor, the first 3 episodes, probably twice yesterday. So we didn't get to the third one again, but we watched the show twice through almost. And then like we were going to bed, and I flipped the channel around, and Empire was on TV, so I put Empire Strikes Back on, and it was Vader talking to Palpatine, and I'm like, this is way different than what I was just watching. It's
What the hell is
so
this? Yeah.
when people say it's doesn't feel like Star Wars, the world feels very Star Wars. It feels like
Yeah.
we've all been to Batu now. It feels like being on Ferrix.
Yeah.
It was a lot grittier, but like
I
it
agree.
felt like being on Batu. It felt like just like
Oh, it's
I don't
dripping
know.
with atmosphere.
Minus the
Yeah.
tourist. It was
Yeah,
literally it. Like
it was it.
everything
There were probably
everything
plenty
was
of
like so
tourists.
well built out. Like each of these worlds was so well carved out, and we knew exactly what like all of them were about immediately, and we didn't need like that extra like context in the background. Be like, oh, this is where they mine, and like at one point in like when they're talking in the office about like the different like worlds, and they're like, oh, Ferrix has their own way of like doing things. They didn't like go into detail to like explain like what Ferrix is, or like what like Morvala. So it's the planet's called Morvala, right?
yeah, I think
So,
so.
like,
Yeah,
there's,
Morvala
like-
1 is that's where
Yeah.
the corporate base
So-
is. Yeah, that's it.
And
So
Morvala
they
5
mentioned-
was where
Morvala 5 is where like
Cassian
the
kills
event
the guys.
happened,
Yeah.
but they don't refer to it as Morvala 5. They just say 5 because they don't
Yeah.
need to like dive
Over
into
on
detail
5.
that like,
Yeah.
hey,
Well,
this
they-
is Morvala 5 because we
Morlana,
have
by
5
the
planets
way.
in our system. A Morlana.
Yeah.
Morlana.
It's taking
Oh, my
good notes
Lanza.
from the world. It's taking good notes from like A New Hope's world building, right? Like, A New Hope did not hold your hand at all. It's a miracle that it worked as well as it did, because like it lived so naturally in its own universe that it just expected you to fall in line and to just like, you know, get it
Yeah.
all through context what was going on in the world. And I think
And I
Andor
think
definitely does that too.
The best
I-
way to start any story, if you're making it yourself, sometimes is to just drop yourself into the middle of it, just go for it, and then go back and fill in your details. And like
Yeah.
Andor has done such a good job at just dropping us into it and being like, okay,
Yep.
cool, this is what you need to know. And it's not
Yeah.
giving us like a ton of background. It's giving it as we learn about it. Like
Yeah.
it's learning Cassian's background, it's learning about Marva's background, and so it's I'm really enjoying it so far because of that.
Compared to Solo, a Star Wars stories opening, like where it literally has to spell it out in multiple title cards. I mean, like, and it's not like spelling things out
Yeah.
isn't like uncommon in Star Wars.
Yeah,
The
what's up
title
with
crawl
that?
is
Can you
legendary.
imagine if Star
But,
Wars had to spell things out for you in text before the movie, that'd be awful.
But those like never felt the same way that the Corellian like having to explain coaxium to
Yeah,
us.
no,
Like,
I
I
get
think
that.
that was always
I know
so
what you
clear in the through the movie what coaxium was and how
They didn't
important it
need it.
was. I didn't need to have all that, and especially
didn't
because
need it,
most
right.
of it doesn't matter after the first 30 minutes of the film. So why bother wasting the time treating your audience with kid gloves? And here we do not have that problem.
No, we
Uh,
we jump right in on Cassian shooting two cops outside a brothel, and then it like lets us know why did he shoot two cops outside a brothel? Where did he
Right.
come from? What is he doing?
I
there?
really like how the show starts as like a murder mystery, but like we see the murder and then we see them trying to solve it.
We're
which
rooting
takes
for
2
the murderer.
seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was about to say
we're
It's not
rooting for the
really-
murder, of
murder
course.
mysteries. I'm usually not rooting for the murderer, but hey,
Depends.
Depends.
But
depends on if it's a good guest on Columbo, I guess.
I'm pretty sure like I was so blown away, just like the guy that Cassian shot was when he blew the guy away.
Dude, he shot him
Like,
square in the face, and I'm
he
like,
Well,
headbutts the guy backwards and kills
And that
the
part
guy.
I'm a little
That guy-
skeptical on. Like,
that guy's made out of
okay,
paper
unless he
mache.
went straight from a concussion to the forehead to immediate crack of the back of the skull on the metal, I have a hard time believing that he died from that. But whatever, it's fine. It's space.
Cassian
born
did
with
too.
glass
He's
bones
making
and
it.
paper skin.
But yeah, that was
My
more cold blooded
day I
than
break
what he
my
did to that
bones.
spy in Rogue One. You know, like he was just like he made a snap decision to just blow his brains out right there.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
It really is insane, and you know, you kind of wonder, is that? I mean, it's implied that it's not the first time he's killed people, but it might be the
Yeah.
first time that he's killed somebody so high profile that like now everything's different. Like now I have
That
no
was on the
choice.
run.
Yeah, because he hesitates, for a little there, and you can tell it's like he didn't want to do it, but he felt he had to. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's an appropriate time to start talking about B2 emo.
Oh baby.
yeah, because that's where it kind of
My
goes next,
guy.
right? So
Yeah, I mean, like his little intro is great. I mean, like he can just
Hey.
go in a little turtle mode and
I love
Zap
the
a-
music too.
Get
zap
peed
a
on.
dog if he needs to.
Keep going on.
I like his little
Fine.
stutter. Oh man,
I have
it's
to
much
say-
cuter than Dio's stutter. I think. Like I
This
don't know why. I'm not trying to hurt on.
No,
hate
I
on
think
Dio.
you're right. I love
this was
Dio
a
too, but
complete Dio situation for me. I get so thrown off when I like learn about a droid before the show actually starts, and they're always like little astromech droids. And then in the material themselves, they come up and they're like, "Hey, everyone," and I'm like, "What?
Oh,
Wait a minute. Oh, buddy, you can talk." Like, and it happens
Hey, you're
every
expecting
time.
beeps and boops.
Yeah, I'm expecting
Yeah.
a beep and a boop, and the dude's
Beep
like,
and a boop.
"Hey, Cassian."
Hi,
well, hey,
I'm
Let's
Troy McClure.
Yeah.
with B2 though, like that was totally unexpected that he was going
Totally.
to talk.
I
Like with
had
like
no
Dio,
idea.
Yeah.
when Dio got revealed, he made like doo noises.
Yeah.
He didn't have a voice.
They
And so when
completely
he
threw us
spoke in the
off.
movie, it was like, oh, wait a
Like,
second.
hey, buddy.
Oh, hey,
Know your
that's JJ
place.
Abrams. Give me a second.
last minute add on.
But like
Who's
with
voicing
B2,
B2
like
Emo?
I loved it. I don't know offhand, but
I don't
like,
want to go on IMDb.
It was
There's
me.
Spoilers apparently.
Was
Don't
you?
go away.
Yeah,
there
it
you
was me,
go,
guys.
yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
You're doing a pretty good impression.
I love B2, and like
Cass.
I impulse bought the little the figure of him, and he actually like contracts too.
I
Oh,
didn't
that's so
realize he
cute.
contracts. Mine
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah,
And
I
I
just took him
love-
out of the package the other day, and
didn't
I was
squish
just like,
him?
I have to. Yeah,
I never
gotta
squished him
squish.
before. Oh my god!
Oh, you killed him.
no, he's fine. He's fine.
I love that in his opening scene, like the hounds run by, and literally he looks like a fire hydrant,
Yep.
and the
And
hound
he gets
pees
peed
on him.
It's so clever. Like that's so
Yeah, I
funny.
mean,
It's
not the
so
hound's
good.
fault.
And then he's just like, no. just, I
Somebody's-
love seeing the hounds again too. By the way, I love different
Yeah.
variations of the hounds as well. They weren't like the stereotypical like white worms, like white Corellian hounds. They were like different kinds of
Other
hounds, but they
hounds.
weren't
Yeah.
like the Tusken Raiders mastiffs, and it was great to see more dogs in
I
Star
don't know why
Wars.
We need to
anybody-
release
Reminded me of
a
Cat Hounds.
Dogs of the Galaxy lore
Yes,
video.
Mastiff,
Corellian hounds,
Corellian
mastiffs,
hounds.
char hounds,
Charhounds,
lothwolves.
Wookiees.
No,
They're
Clone
sentient,
Hounds,
damn
for
it.
sure.
That's racist.
Charhounds.
Clone Humor brought up the guy who gets shot. I don't know if his name was Kravis or something. He did the horror in his face was the acting was really great, and that was just the beginning of the show, the first episode. The acting across the board. I don't know if this is too bold to say, but like it might be some of the best acting we've seen in Star Wars. I hate
Too
like
bold to say,
Yeah.
dude. Roll it back.
Is it? I mean, I don't know.
No, it's not.
Nah,
I
love
think
it.
it's just the direction and the writing and the acting all together made this such
People
a
are-
such a
People are criticizing it
masterpiece.
for being slow, and I think
Yeah,
that's really
I mean-
just because we've all been conditioned from like 2 years of 6-episode TV shows that have a plot that rushes and then stops and then rushes again. So we're like, we just don't remember what slow and paced television feels like anymore. Like, go back and rewatch like Fringe or like any show from like
Yeah, here's the
2000s
thing.
previous.
Breaking
if
Bad.
you're finding it
Better Call
slow,
Saul.
you need to watch
Exactly.
shows that aren't just Star Wars because you need to expand your horizons. And
Or even, like,
I'm dead
Rings of Power.
serious. Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
just for a
like-
recent
Ah,
example.
I don't really like that show too much, but I do like House of Dragons, so to each their own.
Ooh.
Or either
So,
fine, either
like,
either
yeah,
of those.
like-
I mean, those are just
longer than 6-episode seasons. you
heavy
know? Like,
dialogue based shows. Like
Yeah.
talking matters. Like, and I was pumped. Like Jamie and I on the rewatch, like, because first I watched it solo, no pun intended, and then Jamie
and I
watched it.
solo.
Yep. And then we watched
And
it
I
together
watched-
later. And it was like Jamie was calling out lines left. I love this line, this word. I had to look this word up, and it was like
Fomented.
this is we're talking about Star Wars dialogue, which is never like there's always good dialogue by the Jedi and whoever, but like
Yes, but this was like so smart.
It was
like,
written so-
literally,
yeah,
like
a
actually
smart
so
show.
smart.
Yeah.
Like,
Star Wars dialogue usually is cheese, but this
There was
yeah,
so
it's-
much-
there's no
nuance there.
cheese.
but like at the same time there was
noodles.
because like it was everyone was characterized like so well. Like if we
Yeah.
jump ahead to like our corpo like main guy, Serial.
Cyril
Cereal
Karn.
cornflakes.
He is-
Cereal Karn.
He is the epitome of like an overachiever who gets tasked with trying to do something and
stiff.
he's like, oh, this is good, I should do this, and then it just blows up in his face, and just his reactions, it was just perfect.
Oh my
and
god.
I love
No
everything
Master-
about it.
No drive-throughs.
No drive-through.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was expressly told not to because he was explained to why the system is the way it is, and that the corporation won't survive if they reported every single crime that happens in their jurisdiction. So that's why we don't do that.
Oh, look at him.
That's why
He's
he's
so
in this job
stiff.
and you're not. And yeah,
He's-
the man literally can't sleep because there's a murder happening, and it's like, dude, relax. Like,
yeah.
Mhm.
Come on,
work-life
dude.
balance,
it's just people,
man.
It's just people getting murdered. Relax, dude.
just
chill
relax
out.
about it. You're an investigator, but relax. No, but
Master
like,
speechmaker, by the way. This guy.
Oh,
It's a
He
big
knows how to
one for-
rile him up.
I loved that.
Oh my
I
God,
loved that he
yeah.
could give a speech.
tried his best.
very good.
This okay. I want to say something. Not my
okay.
original idea. Shout out to Ali for giving me this idea. But he's very Javert. If anybody knows Les Mis, he's super Javert.
Yes,
like
he is.
Can you explain for
I
the-
can't stop thinking about it. Okay, so in Les Mis, the whole concept of Les Mis is that there's Jean Valjean, who is this guy who got arrested for stealing bread. That's all he did because he was hungry and he had to feed himself and somebody. Was it a kid? I forget. He steals bread. He gets arrested and he serves like forever in prison, like a long time in prison.
Prisoner
And-
62401.
Yeah, 246. I think.
24601.
But
Sorry, I only know that because of The Simpsons.
so Javert, releases him and keeps running into him over the course of the story, and he just cannot possibly fathom that the system is wrong. It is literally like the epitome of that Skinner meme where he's like, "Am I out of touch? No, it's the kids that are wrong." It's literally like he cannot
okay.
possibly fathom that this guy was not a bad person and just stole some bread and got arrested, and the system like screwed him over. No, he's evil and he's bad. So at the end of the story, spoiler alerts for anybody who hasn't watched Les Mis or read Les Mis. It's an old story by now, but whatever. At the end, Jean Valjean kind of like spares his life, and Javert's like, "Why did you spare my life? Now I have to kill myself because I cannot possibly fathom that you're a good person because you're a bad person because the system isn't wrong." And he's like
Wow.
just so obsessed with the system being right that he throws himself off a bridge. and kills
Better
himself
relax.
because he can't handle it. He's like, no, this is
Next
So
week
this
will
So
this
be
guy-
Karn's gonna
Yeah.
yeet himself off a
Sorrow.
bridge at some point during
Do
this
not
show. Is
forget
what
at
you're
the end
telling
of
me.
this season.
He's gonna space lock himself.
At the end of the season, I'm fully expecting Cyril Karn to throw himself off a bridge or something along those lines, because literally watching that car explode or the speeder explode and him looking at it
Oh yeah.
and him just being like just cannot possibly no, I'm not wrong.
Come back
It's
next
so
week to see
good.
why B2 is like someone in Wicked.
But
I'm
he's
all
like
in at musicals.
the
no.
last they've been trying to Disney's been trying to make more interesting villains, right? And I think they've succeeded for the most part, but one
Yeah.
problem they've had is that the villains they've created are often too sympathetic, and like they have motives that you absolutely like want to agree with because they're usually the underdog, and they just make them do something horribly awful to make them unrelatable again, like Killmonger. Like he had
Yeah,
legitimately good
exactly.
points, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, but then we're gonna kill a bunch of people. Oh, hey, hold on, relax.
What's her name
or
in,
like
in
Flag
Falcon and Winter
Smasher.
Soldier? Yeah,
who's
the Flag Smashers.
And her character in Solo both have
That pissed me
legitimate
off.
arguments and things that
And
they
while
need.
we're
Of course,
on-
she's not
Except
really the villain in
Solo,
Solo.
I was gonna say,
She's like a
except
fake.
she's
She's a red herring.
supposed to be the villain, but
red
she's
hair
not.
herring.
I don't
And
think
that's
this is gonna be an
better.
audio podcast, guys.
Yeah, probably not.
Why not?
No.
There's so much happening.
Oh, it's not. There's no visuals for you fine
Anyway.
folks listening.
That's true.
It'll work. It'll work.
It'll work.
Who's Alexander Hamilton in this? While you brought up Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's perfect because this guy, this stiff Cyril Karn, he kind of reminds me of U.S. Agent
Yeah,
a bit.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You
I
know,
can see that.
trying to be
Loves
Mr.
the
Perfect.
system, wants to be the golden boy.
He's gonna
Goes
be like
into
Iron
battle
Man.
way over his head and like you know, explosions going on. He's rattled.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he reacts. But he's
I can
kind of
definitely see that. But yeah, like
I don't know.
I fully
you can
expect this
relate
guy
to.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just remembered where the pin on my point is that you can relate to him, but you do not have to agree or want him to succeed the way that you would with like Killmonger or Flag Smasher or,
Right.
or what's her face in Solo, like Enfys Nest. How could I forget that?
You cannot
Um,
forget Enfys Nest.
No,
in front of
no,
Jamie,
not
dude.
not
What
on
are
this
you doing?
podcast. No. Yeah, like it strikes a better balance and creates a better villain that like I don't have to root for, but I can totally understand and I believe in their reasoning for what
Yeah,
they're doing.
because you can totally relate to at a small scale. Like, hey, something went wrong. You want to make it better, but someone's like, no, don't bother because it's just not worth it. And then you're like, no, I'm gonna do it anyway. And it's just like, well, I probably should have listened to them because they know what they're talking about.
And I've
everyone's
100%
had that experience.
100% expect this guy to fail up. We already know he's going to be working with the Empire, so he's failing upwards. He completely botched this entire
did.
thing, and the Empire is going to probably like put a medal on him and be like, "All right, you're getting an upgrade." And
He
gonna,
brought
he's
12
gonna be
guys
like,
into a
gonna be like,
town
"What
and
the
like blew the place up
Like
by
half
accident.
of them like died, and so
And
yeah, like the guy who was
completely
like
screwed this up, but and that's how the Empire works.
the other
right?
officer with him, that wonderful dude. I
Oh, I
forget
love
his
that
name
guy.
again.
Well, that Scottish
So,
man.
so you think he's
Yes.
gonna Matt? You
He's
guys,
definitely gonna be like,
you
hey,
think he's gonna
this guy
fail?
took initiative.
What do you mean? He already
Yeah, but
failed. He's
But-
failing
Yeah, he
up, I'm
failed.
saying.
But he's getting recommendations because the other guy's gonna be like, hey, this guy took the initiative. He should still get promoted. In order to.
Commendations.
You know what I think
Yeah.
of
The
that?
way Cyril
Um,
Karn got incensed when that Scottish guy was like totally on board with his whole plan. He's like,
Yeah, he's like,
fine with being woken up in the middle of the night for this because he's just as much of a corpo stooge.
That
Yep.
was the.
You guys didn't get
That's
a
a
good
big
chance
deal.
to play it, so I
That's
just
a
let
big
it rip.
deal. Yeah. I have to say, other than I think it's Queen's Shadow, right? Queen's Shadow says shit once, and that is
Okay.
the only time it has ever been said in the history of Star Wars until that moment. That's humongous.
It's great.
On
it's great.
screen, first time anybody said shit. Big deal. Big
Welcome.
deal.
Oh, also, first time on
Fucking
screen
Scotland.
anyone's ever said calf in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like, I
wild,
was
isn't
so
it?
psyched for
On
that.
screen,
I was
yeah.
like, oh my god,
I love
calf. They
that.
said calf.
I don't know why, but I just loved that scene of them just chilling in the apartment and just
Hooking up.
hooking up,
Asking for,
drinking
asking for
coffee in the
next
morning.
I mean, that's
Banging,
very,
having coffee. Yeah.
I mean, it's very grounded. This is the most grounded
I know,
we've
I
ever
love
seen
that.
Star Wars.
We've
Just
But
talked
she's
normal
doing that for
people.
before.
subterfuge. She's
Like
a
a-
spy.
Oh no.
Like we've talked about like the hypothetical, like what are some stories we would love to see in Star Wars, and like there's always like the diving into like the big like grandiose like stories, and I'm always just like, give me an office like drama, Like that is it. That is like pretty much like what half
This
of
is what
these
this
like
was.
arcs of episodes like were, and I was just like, this is like literally exactly what I wanted, and I didn't even know it was gonna happen in this show. I am obsessed with it. This guy
Oh,
eating
the
the noodles,
bloodles.
the
I
guy in the
love
back
'em.
texting, and then
Dude.
Yeah.
and then the girl running in with her coffee,
With the coffee
like,
cup.
Oh my God.
Star Wars is
I
at
am
its best when we're
obsessed
just a
with
fly
it.
in the wall.
It's so good.
I love that
And,
they
like,
have takeout boxes.
what
It really felt like
It's
it
so
really felt
good.
like a visual novel, as dumb as that sounds. It
Yes.
felt like if you guys have read Star Wars books, it felt like a Star Wars book on the screen.
this
I
like
can see, yeah. I
this
agree
entire
with that.
sequence between these like three technicians of like the girl with the travel mug of calf, the guy with the noodles, and the guy just sitting there literally texting on a Star Wars device reminded me of like one of the first like chapters in Light of the Jedi. There's literally an outpost in which they're just like monitoring for like asteroids and whatnot, and one girl's literally just like reading the entire time. She's reading like Jedi like porn novels. Actually, that's in the book. That is what she's reading.
Hey, you know.
And then the other guy's actually doing his job, and like this literally felt like
Not for
seeing that
long.
on screen, and I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. I also had, going into Andor, it must be said, I had zero like plans to cosplay anything. I absolutely hate that I now like the really blue jumpsuit things for the corpos.
Jack,
Everybody
like,
does. We were
it's
talking
like-
we
about
all
that.
want to make we all want to make one.
ridiculous.
I really want to make Karn.
I honestly
'cause
think
I
we
love
all
that
should.
outfit. I don't even
Like-
like the
That'd be
character.
It's
like to
ridiculous.
play him, cosplay
I
him.
just,
just
I'm
love
gonna,
that
I
outfit, man.
grow out my
That
sideburns again.
piping.
I
And the
can
fact
walk
that
around with like a cup of coffee, like oh my God, like
Honestly, when his supervisor asked him if he modified his suit, and he's just like, just a couple details,
Just
some
a couple
piping.
of
And
things.
some piping, took it in a bit.
Took it
it's
in
like,
a
are you
bit.
kidding me?
Took it in a
are you
lot.
talking like piping is just a casual thing you add? Get out of here.
Spent so much time,
I
and
love it.
it's all gonna be a waste because he's gonna throw himself off a bridge.
I
that
didn't
blue
want
and
to like
orange,
these
and-
people that much, but I did. And
I got a
yes.
jacket from work that literally is that same navy blue and orange, and I've been thinking about it all day because I wore it because it was a nice, cool, rainy day going to the office, and it was just like, I want to make that damn armor.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but it reminds me of the Star Tours uniforms,
It
which
does.
are also blue and orange.
it does look a lot like that. You're right.
Those corpos.
Some good complementary colors. Oh yeah, and he added pockets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pockets,
literally did that to my
typing in
Anakin.
pockets.
See, even in the Star Wars universe, they're like, this is fucked up. We don't have any
We need
pockets.
we
need
I'm out of
pockets.
pockets.
which is wild because there's always a lot of pockets on everything and everything in Star Wars. But
You
Not
need
on the
pockets
pants.
to put the noodles in. Save it for later.
what? What is your
Okay,
noodle
AJ just
policy
outed
here?
himself. He's projecting that he puts noodles in his pockets.
What is your
My
noodle
headcanon.
policy?
Yeah.
Um,
Are you
Just a
taking me
bag
on
of
a
blue.
noodle day?
I need that Charlie meme modified stat.
What dimension are we in?
Matt, this is a perfect
God, yeah.
thing for you. Jamie and I were talking about this with Clone Humor brought up Cassian's. Oh, I read this as Cassian's ship, but yes, Cassian's. I can't read tonight, guys.
Yep.
I totally
The
agree
drip.
with this
No,
comment.
I
though.
can't read either.
Cassian's drip is
His
on
jacket?
point. Like, oh, I
His
love
jacket
that.
is
I love that
unreal.
jacket,
I
the
want
whole
it.
thing.
But Matt, the ship, it was an ugly
Yes,
with the
it
Y
was.
wing back, and I don't know what.
Yes,
the
Very
it
Kyle Katarn on
was. I was
Baron's
like,
head.
holy crap, we're getting into uglies
ugly.
again. I love it. I love it. Can't get
For
enough.
people that don't know, an ugly is just a Lego that you smash together as a
Yeah,
kid
it's
and make a
literally
ship.
like a ship that you take bits and pieces from other ships and mash them together.
Well, I mean,
Um,
damn, Andor's really like going by the skin of his teeth. Like he's like stealing ships in the middle of the night from a ship scrapyard and
I know.
just
Yeah,
like
I mean, he's not doing
man.
well. He
No.
really is just like scrounging.
sleeping in a bombed out ship.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, like, he strolled right into that Imperial facility and got the box, whatever the hell that was. Why hasn't he been doing that the whole time? He'd be rich. He'd be a rich dude by now.
I do have a lot of questions about like what he's been doing exactly. Like we can kind of guess. Why is he sleeping out in the junkyard and not with
Marva.
Marva?
Well,
Yeah.
he's running jobs at night. It seems like.
But he's got
Yeah,
a
you
little
don't want to come home
bantha.
and wake her up.
He
Like,
doesn't
have
want
you
to
ever tried to
endanger her.
sneak home. You remember when you like try to sneak home late at night at your parents'
Yeah.
place? Like it's not an easy feat.
Yeah.
Without waking him up.
He's got a little bantha at home, though. You gotta go
I love
back
the
and take
bantha.
care
And then
of
the
it.
corpos
I-
trash the place.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Just like the moment, like
messing
Rogue,
everything up.
Rogue One gave us like all of Jin's like toys like everywhere, like in the room, and then we really don't see like toys in Star Wars aside from like Rey's doll and then like all of like the random like Tuca dolls like in like the animated stuff, but you don't see like toys in Star Wars. But then like you said, there's this an actual like
A little
bantha that like
bantha.
looks like this, and I was like,
How old is
oh,
Cassian in this show? This is 5 years before Rogue One. Rogue One, he was what, like 20?
but he's still holding on to it. But maybe
29?
he wasn't holding on to it, but Malva was because like sentimental, just keeping the things
Yeah.
when they were a kid.
Malva.
It's just
I almost said Malfa earlier. I didn't.
you said
though.
it.
I did.
Let's
Oh, just now.
Dolores!
so
Sorry.
with his flashback scenes, I couldn't help but think of Boba Fett, and like comparing how they were executed in that show versus this
Yeah,
show.
I was gonna say that too.
And like I remember when we were talking about like how the flashbacks were executed Boba, like I remember complaining like the point of flashbacks intertwined with your main story should be to like reveal something about your characters, and or there should be some theme that's concurrent between the two that binds them together in a way that makes it like, otherwise you could just do it sequentially, right? And here, like, I almost worried they were going to run into the same issue, but I think that like the reveal of, I don't know, like it's not a twist, but it's like the context given to how Marva like
Yeah.
picked him up and everything, and like how he got off Canary.
Canary.
And then there's that. There's like, so on Cassian Andor's Wikipedia page, it says his homeworld is Fest. That's
Yep.
what it said forever and
Yeah,
ever.
it
And
said
then-
in the Rogue One visual dictionary.
yeah, and Fest, for those who don't know, because I'm gonna get it out of the way. Let's get just nip
Let's
this in
hear
the
it.
bud.
Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Here we go.
Fest is actually level 4 from Dark Forces, in which Kyle
Right.
Katarn sneaks through and infiltrates an Imperial weapons facility testing base. And yep, there we go. There it
Spoiler alert
is.
for a
Sorry if you haven't
20-year-old
played
game.
Dark Forces from '96.
We're spoiling
Uh,
everything today.
And it was like
Dark
all white
Empire.
mountains, and it's just all
Blades.
like white mountains and big cliffs and valleys. I mean, yeah, it's a computer game from '96, but like still, they weren't trying to convey like forest floors and stuff. So I was very confused seeing these flashbacks of what I assumed was Cassian, and made so much more sense when like we find out, oh, it's not actually Fest, it's Canary, and it's just a cover story. And like, while I'm a little bummed, I'm not actually, because that's not like that was Kyle's homeworld, that was Sulon. And it's like, so that it's not a big deal, but it was just like such an interesting twist for a dork like me who was just so obsessed with that one fact, and they just totally flipped it on the head for me. I really
Show
did.
off show off the blaster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There it
you want
is.
to talk about Kyle's blaster?
Yeah,
Briar
talk about
pistol.
Kyle's blaster.
Well, we'll talk about Kyle's blaster. So when Rogue One came back for IMAX and they said they were going to do the Andor preview, I was like, cool, all right, let's do this. And it's that scene with him and Stellan Skarsgård at the end, Luthen Race and Rail. I don't know. It's so hard to
Luthen
keep track
Rail.
of these
Luthen.
names. New Star Wars names are
I
like
don't know anyone's name.
Lord of the Rings names. It's like you got to give me a day or two to keep them straight. But he pulls out the Briar pistol, as we all know, and I jumped out of my seat in the theater, and I like turned to everyone who's also in the costume clubs. It's just like, that's a Briar pistol, and they're all like, we know, and I'm like,
And you were
still
just
freaking
like,
out.
oh.
I literally almost, I was Leo pointing. I was every
shit.
meme you can think of. Oh my god, I was freaking out. And it's a slightly different one. There's no magazine on it. It's got this cool like thing where it loads, it like folds open, and then like you put a new clip in there and stuff, like, which is so cool. It's almost cooler than the original design. And that's not even his. Like the guy that was with Marva in the flashback was the one sporting it when he pointed it at Cassian.
We can assume that was his father that got hung in the square.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not around anymore, and
Yeah,
Cassian's got his blaster.
I don't know what's up with the Canary and that they're all
That is
like
a-
sprightly, you know.
Lord of the
Like
Flies.
kids. What's
Lord
this
of the
Lord of the
Fly-
Fly
Thank
situation
you.
going
Yeah, Lord
on?
of the
Yeah.
Flies.
Lord of the Dungworms.
Very confused why there are no adults.
I really want to know about
What do you
that.
guys? What do you guys think's going on there? Like, if
I
you
have
had
no
to
freaking
speculate.
clue. The stupid Confederate ship crashed, and then everybody shows up, and they're like, "These Republic guys," and I'm like, "Wait a minute." Oh,
I'm
Yeah, so I
roll
think
that
that
back.
it might
I'm
have been like
confused.
I think that the planet might have been under Republic control originally and like was the entire time, and there was some sort of accident. I think that there was something there, and only the kids were left for some reason. Because if you notice, all of the kids also had like the same kind of like color of clothes that everyone on Ferrix had. So I think that there's definitely some sort of connection with like those planets.
You think
But
it's
then
in the same system?
that
maybe?
separatist
Ooh.
ship crashes, and
All the
then
adults could be stuck in the mine.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
die in
that's
the mine. I
probably
don't know.
true.
Do you think
Marva
Cassian
is
had seen it
worried
before?
about the Republic, and so they're like, we have to get out of here. So, and then like later on, like it said that like Canary, there was a big mining accident, and so I think that there was another accident later on. So like once like the Empire like takes over all the Republic assets, they were probably there. And then they're like, oh yeah, let's like start like mining again because like we should like pillage all of the resources we can because we can do it. We're the Empire, and of course it's gonna be a disaster, and so then it's probably like really really bad. In that moment, that's what I think.
I see Millie
I know.
asked about Cassian's sister. I think
No, I don't
that
think
that's
that was his
legit.
lie. I think
'Cause
he's
we see-
legitimately looking for his sister.
We see
We see her. Yeah.
her next to him. I mean, I don't know if they said anything to each other, but or if they were like hugging or whatever. But they were like next to each other, and I'm pretty sure that was
Yeah.
his sister. So
Can we talk
Yeah.
about
Oh,
why everybody,
100%.
yeah,
why everybody was colored like Bert and Ernie? Can we talk about that for a sec?
what was up with
Yeah,
that?
all the
Yeah.
yellow
Clothes?
people. Yeah.
Why were they all yellow?
The people that fell
I
out
guess
of the
they're
ship.
aliens. You know,
I
they're like
would
they could be like
assume-
I don't
There
think
was
they
some
were
sort of
aliens.
gas spilling out of it. I don't know
Yeah,
if
Was
that
there
had any-
gas?
Originally, when the girl is approaching, you can see that there's a yellow gas like billowing out of it, and so I think that this is some
that was poisoning them?
alien race that we might just not know.
Well, some of them had
something like
gas
Umbarans,
masks
maybe?
on too.
I
Yeah,
think they
'cause
probably
think
just got
that-
poisoned by the gas. I think they were all people, humans.
But why?
I don't think so. I think
They
they
gotta
were
explain
aliens.
that.
It was
one,
only
man.
two
They were
guys, right?
all
There
yellow.
were like 4 people that were colored yellow, and I think we're
Was it
supposed to
4?
look at them like colored yellow, like as a big deal. Yeah, it's toxic gas, and they were breathing it in, and they turned yellow. I don't think they're aliens.
It was
even though
billowing out of the ship, though, so I mean, it is
it was
possible
probably
that
in
like,
there too.
yeah.
Even the
I
ones with the
Eh.
masks had it. I don't know. I'm skeptical.
I don't know.
So we're obviously gonna hear more about what was going on there,
Probably,
because we know there's
Yeah,
more
like-
flashbacks of like a young adult Cassian coming.
No, learning more about Cassian's actual like parents or like whatever happened to the adults of you know the Canary kids and like their society. I don't know if we'll get that since Cassian obviously you would have to be delving even deeper back into his memory.
Yeah,
and
I
it
don't-
seemed
I
like
don't
the
think
main
they'll
point of the
go-
flashback was to show like his sister is a real character as well as how he
Yeah,
met
so
Marva.
like unless like we see like in the future like him actually like finding his sister at any point in time or like learning about her, I don't think we'll get more clarity on like the kids on Canary.
No.
Well, what about the
probably
Phase
not.
2 armor?
Maybe a mention.
Because like we know
That'll
there's going to
be-
be Phase 2 clones, and
Yeah.
that can't possibly be in the 5 years BBY.
That's
no,
a good
yeah,
point.
so
No.
that's gonna have to be soon.
That's another
in the
flashback.
Flashbacks, yeah.
And those will be Imperial clones at that point. I'm
Most
assuming.
Yeah, I would say
It
early.
they look
early
very
Imperial.
Yeah,
'Cause
because they don't
they're
have any
phase
Imperial.
two.
Somewhat a
Yeah.
bad batch.
Yeah.
yeah. But did we mention that Cassian has a separatist upbringing? That's a thing, right?
I mean, yeah, that's part of
Marva is a separatist, we think.
Is she?
I thought
don't
she
know.
was
Well,
just
she
like
mentions-
a
she
smuggler
mentions-
of some kind. You know, like
Yeah, maybe she is.
I
Because
thought
she
she
mentions
came in to
Republic
steal
people are
stuff.
coming and they want to
fuel
leave.
cells
so.
out of it. I think they were just pillaging a known crash.
Well,
Like,
didn't
maybe
they?
they could have caused it for all
Her
I
and
know.
that other guy feared getting shot by the Republic when they showed up, right?
Because that was
So-
a Republic ship. Because they were like
Right.
they just killed a bunch of Republic officers, so they are open
But it-
season.
but they
with the
had
Republic
separatist
It
assets.
logos
wasn't
on
a
them.
Republic ship. It was
But
a
she's- but
separatist
she-
ship.
Then why did she say they killed?
I don't
Republic
know.
officers?
I don't
That's why
know.
it's
It
confusing.
confuses me.
Yeah.
It
Right.
very
It's so
much
confusing.
confuses me.
was
Because that was
supposed to.
clearly supposed
Yeah,
to be
'cause
that was a
that wasn't-
separatist logo.
I agree. It's
symbol.
not a Republic. It's not a Republic logo. And it is a separatist logo. I just
Separatist stole a Republic cruiser. Is my guess, maybe. I don't know.
But
maybe-
they killed they according to Marva they killed a Republic officer.
Right.
I don't know.
I-
Maybe
I have no
Marva
idea
is
what
just like
happened
so politically
Maybe.
out of it that she just doesn't even know the difference between separatists.
She
and
inhaled too much of the
Republicans.
gas.
No, the Simpsons gas. Who said that? Somebody said that. That I
Jared.
really liked.
Jared
Good,
said
that was great. The Simpsons gas.
Matt's other villain arc.
The kind that turns you inside out.
I'm just. The show is absolutely
talk about-
amazing, but it's pissed me off.
We haven't talked about a major thing that I really loved about the episode. It's just the people of Ferrix. We've kind of talked about
Yeah.
Ferrix, but
Rasa,
the people were
Tim,
awesome. The
Bix.
wall of the workers.
I
Bix
love the
was
wall of
great.
gloves.
Yeah.
Love
The wall
Bix.
of gloves.
Bix Kaylee.
Yeah.
Obsessed with the wall of
They are.
gloves.
That's so good.
Who's are
I want that
missing in the
wall.
middle?
I want
I
that
On the
instead
left
of this.
also.
That's just like such like a cool like visual, and it also goes to show just like the community like on Ferrix as well. Because like think about that, like you go to work and at the end of the night you put your gloves on the wall. I don't trust anyone to do that. I'm not leaving my stuff behind. But these people like
True.
leave
Yeah,
their
they should.
gloves out on the
Someone
wall.
could put
'cause they
dung
know
worms in
that
your gloves.
Yeah, what if it
someone
rained?
could. someone
You
very
got
well
soggy
could. And so
gloves the next day.
it just goes to show the community on Ferrix, and then it goes to show like again later on when they have like the code of like banging on all like the metal pots and pans. Like that's
Oh,
I love
that's
that.
just great. But
Holy
like
crap.
Oh,
it's very cool
That's a
world
reckoning.
building of it.
that was so
I
And-
hate using that term.
Oh
Hammer
man, I
guy.
love that dude.
MC Hammer.
He was always just ready to start his day. There's no man who loves his job more than this guy loves his job.
This guy was just honestly, it seems like a pretty fun job. I can get behind.
Throughout your
I'd
back
be
every
so
Where's some
day.
earmuffs?
It's
that.
good.
I
Go
love the
bong,
earmuffs too. Yeah,
Bong bong.
Well, you gotta
Bong
you
all
gotta
day?
wear your
Bong bong.
protection.
I know. That'd be really loud.
Oh,
Yeah, but then you have to wear a
man.
kilt. Yeah.
These
But it
guys,
was so
this
cool
whole
how-
community just loves percussion.
It was
Can't
so
get
cool how these first 3 episodes, this arc, because
like
this is
Stomp.
this is a singular arc of itself, probably. Like, we cared. Like they showed us these people in this town, and we cared about them so much so quickly. They just did such a good job of that.
Oh, I
don't know.
agree.
We
And
haven't even seen
even
Mon Mothma
characters
yet.
who I can't even remember their names, like the guy at the shop window.
He
That
was
like,
great.
"Oh, I don't wanna, I
Yeah.
don't know." He was great.
one-
Like just like these random one-offs.
And-
Or that guy who
And the guy that was,
Cassian
like,
owed
with them?
money, and like the big guy's like, "Look,
the big guy.
said I- you just said I
Vetch,
understand
yeah.
you."
What was his name?
I think it was Vetch.
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 Yeah.
Awesome.
He put you up to this?
Yeah, there he is.
I love
I
that
him.
dude.
Chuck Rock.
What a guy. Oh no.
Like, listen, I'm not that violent of a guy, okay? It's just big.
Oh my god.
And I love who was Cassian's friend there that he first
Rasa?
talked to about the cover story.
Brasa.
Brasa.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I
I
loved
He
love.
seems like
It
a
was really
guild
cool.
leader or something, you know? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
of
I love
authority.
how he towards the end, like no questions asked, he like immediately went to like sabotage like the corpo like ship.
Oh my
just like
God, that
no
was
such a
questions
good
asked. He was
sequence.
just like these
Like
guys
as soon
are
as
here.
they're ringing,
All
he's
right.
like, "All right," and he just gets to it. And again, it's like
ship up.
they have their own way of doing things, and it's so good that they have just like these plans in order. Police show up, you know what to do. Sabotage, sabotage, sabotage at every step. It was so good.
What an adversarial relationship
Friggin'
this
Tim.
planet has with their corporate overlords. Like, holy shit. And like
We should all be so lucky.
right. I think it's interesting that all the corpos are like Scottish and like limey and like Cockney accents. Like it really, you know, like when George created the original trilogy, he chose British because that like gave like the same thing like the Revolutionary War vibes in terms of like a nice clear villain, and all the Empire had to be British, right? And so here it's like it's nice because they're corpos, they're not the Empire, but they're not civilians either,
No.
right? And so like they're right in the middle. They're working class British accents,
Working class
Scottish
Brits.
and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
actually a good point.
And I really
a
like
really good
that
point.
choice in terms of like how the corpos are except for Karn. He's
Yeah,
our American golden boy.
Yeah, I guess so. Go for it.
I like that a lot. The whole like building of it, of like the corpos are the first line of defense for the Empire, and like they're very
Yeah.
clear like about saying that. And I love getting that aspect of this is how the Empire works, because that's something that we really haven't, like, at least in the
Well,
from the what I know of like the
it's-
Star Wars things, the broader scope of it. That yeah.
Given George based the Empire on the American military,
Yeah.
it's very satisfying to see that continued here, where we have the Empire and to somewhat of an extent, whoever's been mining Canary, very much the way America has treated, the U.S. has treated the South American countries that, you know, like all the banana republics and stuff like that, where we have just absolutely torn apart these countries just for their natural resources and manipulated their governments and just,
Yep.
you know,
So
it's
you know what's
disgusting.
interesting? So an observation that just like in general about like the tribe of kids on Canary is it's a different kind of indigenous people of what we've seen for like the Tusken Raiders, of like what they're showing, and it's just very
Yeah.
cool to see like a different variation being represented. But then it's also interesting what you just mentioned, Jack, that it's like the Americas going to plunder like the Amazon rainforest, because it's like
Yeah.
that's like it, like that mining and like the shot of like
Yeah, with
Cassian looking
Cassian.
at just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the pit.
Yeah. I mean, it's in Central
that's
America
it.
too. I mean, Diego
Yeah.
Luna is from Mexico, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And
it's good
and
work.
And he's an
It's good work.
executive producer
Yeah.
as well.
yeah,
So-
exactly.
You know he's passionate about it. He talks about this like how that's like rooted in all the storytelling they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just so great to see it so clearly laid out in front of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and and the third episode is also very in line with that kind of sentiment. I'll say that much. But I just
Guerrilla
love that
tactics up the
the-
wazoo.
I love that Cassian Andor's accent is explained like he didn't speak English, like or basic. Like
Right,
and
yeah.
That was
they
in his
didn't give us
script.
subtitles for anybody. At least I don't think so, unless my version was broken. But I love that. Like we didn't need to know what they were saying to know what was going on.
Because it was clear.
Yeah, like when that
Yeah.
older boy snapped at Cassian trying to
Yeah.
join in on the hunt or like on the
Yeah.
trek, and then the leader girl was like, "No, you relax and you let him be a part of this." And then like he got to like put on the
He's got that
like,
little
the
Yeah.
smug
war-paint
face
stuff.
as he's painting himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like it's also
Little does he know
clearly
he's about to get
communicated.
kidnapped.
You get off this
Idiot.
rock. Wait, what about my sister? Oh, I guess I'm gonna have
Uh,
to worry about that for most of my childhood and my adult life.
I guess I'm gonna have to stop by at some brothels. Oh dear. Oh no.
Yeah, so
oh
like,
me.
how does she must get off world at some point too, right? Because like,
Well,
Yeah.
He's looking.
And
for
what-
her.
What makes
how's
him
she
want to
doing?
go search for her right now? Like what?
I'd say that he was
Yeah.
probably tipped off because he goes in there
Yeah.
with like the full purpose of he
Yeah.
heard there was someone from that planet who was in that brothel. So he's like, oh, well,
Just
I
always
gotta go
looking for
investigate.
He
Imagine
showed
if she's
up
like,
to Canary and there's still a bunch of kids. And
what if
only
she's working
kids.
for the Empire now?
yeah, that's like
Oh,
Neverland. It's
I
just-
can see
Probably gonna
that.
be a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he shows up to Canary and it's a bunch of little kids throwing rocks at him. He's like, "Guys, where's my sister?" And they
It's
they
a-
don't understand him.
It's just
Right.
a
Rocks.
little lamplight.
It's either a Neverland situation or it's like Pokemon Red and Blue, where there's just like a weird lack of adult males around the whole game. Like the
Yeah.
whole time, you're like, where's everyone?
They're just off doing things.
A lot
They're
of
off
kids
at
and
work.
moms.
Oh, when the
Um,
kids turn 16, they gotta go to Big Town, and that's it.
I wanted to touch upon
Fallout 3?
when Luthen shows up. Luthen?
Yeah.
Luthen.
We don't know the
Luthen.
names yet. Luthen.
Luthen Rail.
Luthen Rail.
Luthen Rail.
Is
that
Luthen
it?
around? What?
Anyway,
Yeah, Luthen Rail.
Luthen
Yeah.
Rail.
I
anyways,
just looked it
Luthen
up. It's
shows up on
Yeah.
Ferrix and takes the
Andor.
trolley over
The
Yeah,
trolley!
oh,
with the
guy.
mustache guy.
Oh,
The
The hat
freaking
that that
Monopoly
guy's
man.
My least favorite guy in any public transport situation.
God.
Stay
Talk
the
his
hell
ear off.
away
The,
from
wor-
me.
the worst thing about it is like he's literally like asks him so many questions, and Luthen's just like, I don't want to talk about it, and the guy's like, I respect that, but anyway, and it's like,
Yeah, right.
"Ah."
It's like, oh, you're the worst because you acknowledged it, but you don't care.
Yeah,
I like this
Oh,
hat
I just
though.
want to read my book.
Mean hat game.
Yeah, great hat game.
Yeah.
And I mean, what does
no
he do?
question.
What does he do for a living?
He's
Uh,
like some sort of salesman for some sort of
Yeah,
like
but what did he?
machinery.
Oh, what was it? He
No
had like a
wonder.
specific thing.
noodle
it was
salesman.
again. And we're back to like the same, just like the basic guy in the galaxy, just
Yeah.
some rando,
Rando
airhead
hours, dude.
who just wants to talk the guy's ear off next to him on the transport and complain.
It's in a way it's an extension of Book of Boba Fett when Mando took the public transport. And like
Yeah.
we all have the
Loving all this
relatable
public transport and stuff.
Yeah, I love it. It's so relatable and just I don't know. I love the old guy with the mustache. I hated him, but I loved him.
Yeah, I would be rooted to the spot in Luthen's.
You know who else I
position.
hated? Tim. with
Oh
two
man,
M's.
all my homies hate Tim.
Him,
I feel
With
bad.
two
I feel
M's,
bad
but they're
for him,
not where
I
you
hate him.
I don't feel
think.
bad
Yeah.
for him. This guy sucks. What a snitch! Come on.
I think
I
he had
mean,
a
I felt
brutal-
bad for
he had a
Bix
brutal
having
end.
to stare at his dead
Yeah.
corpse for hours
Yeah.
until she was finally released from the handcuffs. Like, Jesus, guys, you couldn't even uncuff her. Like, I didn't
course
even
not.
realize that until her friends came over and she was just trying to get over to him. It just felt so. That was such a hard scene to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't say that much, like, often about Star Wars because it's usually just very fun and relaxing. Oh, let's just.
Yeah.
This was not. This
That's
third
brutal.
episode was not relaxing. Very fun, but not relaxing. Incredibly tense.
Fascist level arrest gone wrong turns into civil murder. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
So do we think
Ding, 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 ding,
did
ding,
Cassian
ding.
and Bix is it Bix?
Yeah.
I can't
Yes,
remember
yeah.
anyone's name.
Bix Kayleen.
I got you.
Bix Kayleen.
I've got a weird amount of these characters.
Do you think they
already
used to
locked in.
date or are they just like really close friends?
No, they're
I
just
think
really
they're-
close friends. And
They
Tim's
maybe
just
had a
a
one-night
jealous
stand
weirdo.
once.
I got the vibe that okay, then Jamie brought this up when we were talking about this, but I got the vibe that Tim was very jealous of Cassian
He
and like
was.
Bix's secret not relationship, I guess. Maybe he thought other stuff was going on or something.
Yeah,
That's like,
because
that was his
some
deal.
guys
Strikes me
can't
as a
deal
jealous
with the
person.
fact.
Yeah.
Some guys can't deal with the fact that a girl can have friends who are guys. Simple as that. That's
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah.
Well, it happens in both ways, right? It's all about insecurity. I will definitely admit that guys can be a lot more toxic about the way they handle it, especially stalking their significant other because
Yeah.
they can't
Getting
trust them
drunk,
at their
going
word.
to a payphone,
The
turning them in.
payphone and the other
Ratting
alien
out.
was
The
like,
other guy's like,
"Ugh."
Yeah, what's that
Payphone-
guy's problem? It's a public payphone,
Yeah,
guy.
I know, right?
Shove
he
up.
looks at him like he has 5 heads, which actually
wanted
might not be as
privacy.
weird in Star Wars as it is in real life. But
You want privacy? Get a compad and go to a room. Get a room,
exactly,
man.
get a friggin' cell phone like that guy was texting on or something,
Yeah.
dude. Like
That man is playing Space
Hey, those are
Galaga.
pricey.
It's just Galaga.
space.
That man is playing.
Oh, thank you, Rural Farm Boy. By the way, it's
Is he here?
propulsion. He worked in propulsion.
Farm boy, you made it.
Propulsion. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
It was propulsion. Yeah.
And his name's Willie. I love it.
I loved how he talked about the old days of. Oh, we used to go across the wasteland
Yeah,
and
we used to
you could taste
roll
it in your
in.
mouth for a week.
Yum. Yeah, right.
I'm nostalgic for that space manure in my mouth.
Manure.
That's not that
Oh
bad,
no!
guys.
Oh no! Callback joke. I didn't even mean to.
I saw Ronan mention this was a Luthen line, right?
Yeah.
Don't you want to fight these bastards for real?
The
I love
word
that.
bastards feels like it belongs in Star Wars. Whenever
Oh, yeah.
when Finn said bastards in The Last Jedi, I think that was the first time it had ever been said. I felt like that had been said like
You
a
lying
million
bastard.
times in Star Wars. Like bastard just feels like it belongs in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Shit, a little different. Still love it, but bastards for sure. I love.
Wizard still just top tier. no
Okay.
question.
Wizard is top tier. Yep.
Like imagine if he had turned around and like gone on his comm and been like, "Poodoo." Like that wouldn't have worked. You'd have
might
to,
have
he has to
worked.
say
I don't
shit.
know.
I think he has to.
No,
say shit.
he doesn't speak Huttese, so it's not a.
Or he could have just yelled,
Dog worm for
you know what?
"Dungworm."
This goes to show how we can have like different variations of swears across the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like
Criff.
it's not standardized to like the one
Criff.
thing, which is
Dank
just very
Ferric.
very cool,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah.
Regional, yeah, because I mean that's a problem that often comes up in Star Wars, right? Like, I mean, homogenization in the culture, in the biomes of different planets. Like,
Yeah.
planets don't work that way. There isn't
No.
just one ice planet, like stuff like that. But culturally too, like sometimes it can feel a little homogenous between certain places. Obviously, like Tatooine isn't going to feel the same as Coruscant, but
Yeah.
I will say Navarro definitely has some Mos Eisley, Mos Espa feels to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's probably intentional, to be honest. I don't know where I'm going with this. I really
I
like
like
that.
it.
That though.
Go
To
for
jump
it.
off of that, I love that this show is so separate from the rest of the broad story. Like when we got The Mandalorian at first, we all thought it was going to be its own thing, set apart from everything else, and then it suddenly tied into everything. The thing with Andor is it very well will tie into everything, but the way that it is self-contained right now, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty self-contained with like
At least for a season. Yeah.
Yeah.
like these characters. It's not going to be diving into like the Jedi suddenly.
Although we will see Mon Mothma very soon, and that's gonna
But
be awesome.
we've never really like
Yeah.
gone into like her like stuff
True.
like before. Like she we don't
Do we
know
get
that
sh-
much about her. Like aside from like what's
Are we
been in
gonna
like
get
the
to watch
off
her
like
eat
couple of
noodles?
Is Jimmy coming back? Do we get Jimmy Smith?
Oh, he's got to be right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
pretty sure he's in
100%
it.
coming back. I'm
Um,
almost
Gotta be
positive
coming
about
back.
that.
I love
So,
me some
like,
Jimmy Smiths.
I love that
Oh, yeah.
this is
Oh, yeah.
this is like set apart from everything else. It contributes to like the broader like timeline of history, but like it is its own story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna add, like, I one of my favorite podcasts was mentioning how like there are no Easter eggs and that it wasn't a bad thing for that same reason that you mentioned, Jamie. Like it's it's nice to not have to go every 5 seconds. Like obviously there are moments for me where I did that and I had a great time, but like
Well, that's
There's,
That was,
there's
like,
different
twice.
levels of
That's
Easter
it.
eggs. That's the funny thing about it is like Easter eggs is such like a term now that's just like everything needs to have an Easter egg, and it's just like, do you guys know what that's supposed to be? That's supposed to
Yeah.
be something that's
Compare
like, very
season-
special and very small. And so like
Yeah.
anything in Star Wars could be an Easter egg. Seeing like all of those like sequel aliens in this are Easter eggs, like the Lugabeast,
Right.
Crusher Rowdoon,
Crusher, which doesn't make
seeing
any
the
sense,
Aki-Aki?
but I'll
What-
accept it.
They
Aki
mentioned-
and the freaking transport
Yeah.
and the stupid what's her name? The horned aliens that I always forget from the Last Jedi.
Yep.
Yeah, I
the,
forgot
Don't
what
have a
they're called.
name.
the heavy
was-
gunner
she was
in
in the
Battlefront
thing.
2. Yeah, I always forget.
They
and then
mentioned
seeing-
Wobani. I mean, that's like an
Yes,
Easter
they
egg.
did.
Seeing
That's
an
an
alien
Easter
like
egg, for
Margot,
sure.
like I forget her species as the bartender. Like
Cassian having the Briar
those-
pistol is an Easter egg in itself.
that's an Easter egg.
Exactly.
These are all
Yeah. Oh no, that was my
Easter
favorite
eggs.
Easter egg. Believe
Yeah.
me.
These are all
Yeah,
quote
that's a very
unquote
good
fan
point.
service. No, it's building the world of Star Wars and using what you have access to. All of
Using
these
existing
things, are
things,
Easter
yeah.
eggs. No, it's using your assets. That's
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Using your assets. But really, I mean, and this goes back. I see Star Wars, I already said it was an incredibly versatile IP, but there's like two halves. There's like the sci-fi and the fantasy half of Star Wars. This goes way into the sci-fi version. While
Yeah.
like, the Skywalker saga, in my opinion, is more fantasy. And there's these
yeah.
two halves.
Space was
That-
Mando's a good 50-50 split, I'd say.
I'd say Mando is a 50-50.
depends on
I
who's
mean,
the guest
Mando,
star.
yeah.
Yep.
Mando is very, I'm going to say it, Arthurian. But I won't get into that because we're talking
A
about
knight
sci-fi.
in shining
now.
armor.
A
with
knight in shining armor who
legendary
fights a dragon,
sword.
who finds a sword and has to unite his people to fight invaders.
I don't buy it.
Yeah,
buy
I don't
the
know.
look of it.
I don't know about that. But, going off of, we've got Blade Runner and Alien vibes in Cassian, while we have Arthur and, fantasy
got-
castle vibes in
On-
Mando. It's two sides.
As a big fan of the Expanse series, which if anyone here has not delved into that, check it out on Amazon Prime. The books are even better, but it's a series that has sci-fi elements that are as lived in real world elements as you can have. And obviously there's a point where that
realistic
gets-
space travel, G-force
Yeah.
actually matters and there's not artificial gravity, like
Exactly.
gravity panels
it
and
creates
stuff like that.
it creates new problems for the characters in terms of how they live in this world, which is much harsher to them trying to live and survive in space. But there's also these political things that are happening as Earth and Mars are both taking advantage of the people who live in between these planets in space stations, doing all the shipping in between things. So there's all these sociopolitical issues happening in between all these different character stories and in the show of The Expanse. And that's what I love about Andor, is that we have all these sociopolitical issues while we're also getting deep character problems being laid out with enough time to actually breathe and enjoy it without being rushed to the next thing.
Yeah, and
I can't
Cassian has
tell you how much I
very-
love this.
very Expanse vibes in the fact that, in my opinion, The Expanse is a realistic depiction of what the future will be like, as opposed to Star Trek, which is like this idealized, it's called
It's not a
fully
good thing.
automated luxury space communism, right? In
I would really much prefer the space communism.
in the Expanse, it is not fully automated, not luxury, space capitalism, and Andor is 110% that, 110% that. Literally with corporations running certain sectors, and stuff like that. Again, very alien-esque, right? The Wayland Yutani Corporation.
Yeah.
100%.
Again, I just love that, and Blade Runner. I can't stop thinking about it. That's
That's
my three things: Les Mis, Alien, and Blade Runner. I can't.
You got them all in.
I'm circling.
The late
What a
Miz
mix.
one's still like
What a
throwing
mix in
me,
that
but
soup.
like it makes so much sense.
So it makes.
Jamie,
so
I
much
think you
sense.
noticed this in the
Yeah.
shipyard. I mean, we even saw like the Bestoon Legacy looking ship, which is Ochi Bestoon from Rise of Skywalker. I don't expect everyone to know that.
Yeah, I haven't done like a close look, but the ghost or variation of that is back there as well, and it's just very cool to see that they have like those like. Again, they're using their assets. That's what it is. It's not just like, oh, did you see like that like Easter egg back there? But I'd like to think that maybe
It's
I
more
think that that's
satisfying.
possibly like the best student legacy. That'd be cool. And like maybe it's the ghost, but nah, definitely.
And you have
Oh,
Oh,
Ochi
it's,
yeah,
getting
it's much more
thrown in there.
satisfying than like the ghost being in a blink and you miss it moment in the space battle of Scarif. Like
Yeah.
as much as cool as that is, it's like you have to literally pause the movie to actually catch it.
Yeah. It's
Versus
tiny.
like when you see the Millennium Falcon in Revenge of the Sith. I saw that in the movie theater as a kid. I'm like, that's the Falcon. What's the Falcon doing here? And like,
Or the
I couldn't
Ghost
stop
in the
thinking
Rise
about
of
the rest of the
Skywalker.
Yeah.
That
oh, but
sticks
that's even
around
worse
long enough.
because there's even
No, it's
more
there.
ships.
There's
But
so
you
many-
see it; it's
So-
front and center. It leads
It is,
the
yeah.
pack.
Yeah,
All right,
there's
that's
like
fair.
3
There's a
cameras.
lot of
then you get the
ships there.
Republic.
You see it come in,
You get the
you see
Republic
it
gunship
leave,
coming
and then
in.
you see
Yeah.
it land.
The
in
steel
Rogue One,
Packers.
doing the
That's
hammerhead,
another
doing
one.
the ramen move.
That's the steel peckers.
Favorite Star Wars bird, next to pilot
Steel
birds, of
peckers?
course.
Oh,
Of course,
wow.
of course.
Some people
I'm gonna
mentioned
sign off
K2.
on that one. Excuse me.
K2 will not be in this season.
I
They
No,
don't
definitely
be
not.
so
is it
sure.
possible?
I've heard was I think in the cast listing had
no.
Alan Tudyk for
Oh, I
season
didn't want to
one.
know that.
You
So
ruined
don't
it.
be so sure.
Well,
Hey.
keep in mind, he's the voice of those droids anyway.
That's
so,
true.
Like,
Sure,
And
it
they-
could just
they
be
could probably
another,
movies,
pop
another
around.
unit.
So they might just have like those Imperial droids like first, and it might not necessarily be K2 just yet, but potentially in the future. Because if you think about it, in Fallen Order,
Do they?
those
they don't
droids are
talk voice
female
actors, do they?
programming.
Oh, they do.
Oh,
Oh,
are
they
they?
have female programming.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention.
Those things
So
give me nightmares
K2
in
could get a
that.
Yeah,
girlfriend.
I'm just too terrified of getting smacked in the face by those. They hit hard and fall.
Yes,
Bonk.
they do.
Yes, they do. They hit hard in Rogue One. Cassian's still recovering from that slap.
And,
Chad
that's
mentioned-
a fresh one if you mouth off again.
I don't- What about porgs?
I look at-
You, AJ, you're out there saying that steel peckers are the best Star Wars bird, and then you're like, actually, no, the pilot bird, and I'm like, excuse me.
You have to answer the buttons later.
That is true.
I'm
I'll have
sorry,
to rank
pilot birds. Pilot birds are just
Pilot
so
birds
cool.
are pretty great.
Excuse
We have a
me?
pilot bird in our Minecraft realm
That's true.
on
We have 5
Maz's Castle.
pilot birds flying around Maz's castle in our Minecraft realm.
That's true.
I don't know what
That's
Star
true.
Wars bird I like. This is a question I wasn't.
Ducks.
All of them.
That's my favorite
Ducks,
Star Wars.
there you go.
Ducks.
Oh yeah,
Ducks.
good old Nabooan ducks.
Good
That's
old
the
sitting
only-
ducks.
That's a good ending point, I think.
Oh, sitting ducks. Right.
What did you say?
No, you,
Nabooan. I just assumed there would be
Nub-
some ducks in the background.
Nubian.
of
There were.
Attack of the Clones.
eh?
there were tons of ducks, both in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
You guys, do you
Yeah,
want to see
back
what
when
I
they
made
couldn't
while we
just
were all...
CGI them into space birds.
Yes. Guys, do you want to see what I made?
Absolutely.
What is
Oh,
Yes!
yes!
I
Oh,
got-
that's so good. You gotta
Did you
post
make that while we
everywhere.
were doing this?
Yeah, I did.
Holy
I
crap, that's
I just
so
realized
good.
I didn't change the to glow
For
noodle
those that-
policy.
For
Doesn't
those
This
matter.
is
who may or may
spaghetti.
not be listening
That
at home,
works.
if this does make the podcast,
Look at that. That's
Jamie,
that's
in
a
the course
workable
of an
thing.
hour, has fulfilled my request and created the spaghetti policy Charlie Day meme.
Yep.
There you
The
go.
noodle boy.
Jack,
Yep.
you saved the day
Photos.
there because I forgot about the people listening at home.
He's
Unbelievable.
thank you, Jack.
That was
My
good.
goodness. No, thank you. Thank you. By the way, I'm gonna need you to DM me that. need
I
that
gotta fix
in
it a
my
little
files.
first.
You gotta
but,
slap the Marauder logo on that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that
slap
was
the
just
Marauder logo on that. Post
Fair.
that
That's fair.
everywhere.
that was just
and
a
send that to me.
sneak peek. That's what
Oh.
that one was.
I didn't get to show off my meme.
Oh yeah,
So Cassian leaves Ferrix, right?
yeah.
Not as good. Not as good. But
Okay,
that was
I-
bored.
All right.
I feel
so
like
for
I
everybody-
should have. I feel like I should have came with a meme today.
A
Everybody
meme-o.
listening at home, it is the SpongeBob meme where he's saying, "Aight, I'm a head out," but it's Cassian and B2 emo
Yep.
heading out.
heading out. Although B2
Except
doesn't
B2
head out.
doesn't head out, and he gets
He was so
replaced by
sad.
K2. I'm going to say something very controversial now. I like K2 less because he's replacing B2.
Oof. I hope B2 doesn't die.
Hot take. I don't know. Maybe when we get more
B2's
K2.
I mean,
Already
B2's
dying,
kind of
dude.
already on like his like last legs.
He's
There.
yeah,
he's on
poor
his way
guy's
out.
struggling, man.
He's getting peed on. He's breaking down. He's
I like how
done.
we see him fresh.
Never has
earlier.
enough charge.
Yeah.
Why? Who? I'm sorry, but like, has no one thought to replace his power cell in the last 20, 30 years?
I mean,
Yeah,
like maybe
literally,
it
when
has
my
been replaced,
phone
but like you know
keeps
how that
dying.
goes
I replace
sometimes.
the freaking battery.
I guess
My
if
phone doesn't
Marva's
ask me questions.
Marva isn't even spending the credits to keep the heat on, so I suppose
That's
she
true.
can't afford.
I
a
love how he
No.
small
has
phone.
like the charge port as well, like you'd see
Yeah.
for like a gonk droid. Like
I
that's
know.
something I feel like we haven't really seen that much of, aside
get-
from like the
I'm a
Astromechs.
gonk friend.
Right. Anyway,
And we saw a
Um,
Gonk in this episode. And on
Yeah.
that note,
one gonk.
And on that
Um,
note,
Yeah. Any other thoughts, guys? Any last thoughts here? Anything?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we did a very
I really
good
loved
job.
Marva's speech during the clanging,
Ooh, the clanging.
oh, the clanging was so good. I loved that.
and
love that.
visually, these first 3 episodes have really delivered. Like that last sequence of Cassian and Luthen just like going through the rice field squares, whatever you want to call them, on the
Oh,
swoop
that
bike.
was
Yeah, the
beautiful.
multicolored,
Oh, I
like,
love that shot. Oh
liquid
my god, I need that
squares.
as a wallpaper.
Lucasfilm,
Yeah.
if you're
if you're
listening,
listening,
and I know you
I know
are,
you are.
keep shooting on location, please.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. The
On
volume's
location
great.
The volume's
and all,
great,
but, like,
but
spend the
yeah.
money, Give us less shows of better quality, of longer quality, or
Give
longer
us
time.
less shows of better quality. No, I disagree.
Take your
Jack.
time doing the shows. Period.
You want
that's what
more
it is.
more crap shows, Matt? Because I
Yeah.
don't.
I know, but no, just the way you worded it, you said give us less shows of better quality. No, I want more shows of better quality.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Take your
I want
time
more
making
shows
the
of better
shows
quality.
Quality over quantity.
so you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
promote
exactly.
them accurately
mean.
and give the creators enough time to make them. That is what
And
I'm
enough
requesting
episodes,
because
for
that is
Christ's
what this
sakes.
is.
And also give
Yeah.
us like a movie, just like one, just like
It's
in the
just
next
crazy.
10 years, please.
It'd be nice
Thanks.
to have a Star Wars movie.
You
Like
might get
going
one.
into Rogue One and seeing it in the theaters again. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about the anticipation of a Star Wars
I
movie,
forgot
but there
about
was
the
no title
magic of
crawl.
watching Star Wars in
I
in
know.
the theater.
Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
give us a movie, quality over quantity, and hurry up on Ahsoka. All right, we're all set.
All right, we're all set.
Yep.
Thank you
Nailed
guys
it.
so much for watching Haunted Marauders live, and thank you for listening to the Haunted Marauders podcast. If you made it this
Yeah.
far, that's great. That's fantastic. We're everywhere at Haunted Marauders. Links are down in our description for everything. Thank you so much for listening and watching to the stream this week, and we'll see you guys next time for Andor episode 4.
Shit.
bye.
Shit.